Hello and welcome to the Late Challenge number 58. And on this show, of course, we are talking about Liverpool's magnificent performance against Manchester City. And I'm not asked what anyone else thinks, as usual. I think it was magnificent. I think the Reds were great. I think the Reds are a team to be proud of. I think the Reds are punching way above what anyone expected of them this season. And I love them for it. And I will unashamedly tell you why they are great in this show alongside Paul Coe. And if you don't believe either of us, believe the manager who says, today I saw the best 53 minutes we had against Manchester City. It was exceptional how we played, and important that we learned that about ourselves as well, that we can do that. On the other side of the coin, Guardiola likened the second half display to a tsunami. We saw him take off De Bruyne, who had a big cob on. We saw the cyborg up front not actually do much. We saw all of these players that are bigged up and that were constantly told are the best in the world look very ordinary and get lucky that they didn't lose. And no, you let it go. We've got a new one, haven't we? We should get onto that as well. And yeah, I loved all that. I mean, we'll start off with that. It's not where I intended to start, but then I've just thought it is quite funny. You know, all this stuff he came out with, Guardiola, in his press conference about, listen, Kevin, what can I say? We need him. He's really important. He's talking about the Kovacic substitution. I mean, that was great though, wasn't it? I mean, you know, like in the ground, that was proper loads of ironic cheers, because we know that this wasn't your plan. We know you didn't intend to take him off. We know that you were firefighting. You knew it was going wrong, and you made a change to try and hold on, because we were all over them, weren't we? So that second half was fantastic.
Yeah, this is the mad thing, and they were saying this on Sky, to be fair, and I think everyone watching it was thinking it. And I was laughing watching it. When do you ever see Man City like that?
No.
Like literally, like, I don't know, this sounds like a mad thing to say about professional footballers, but like sweating and looking flustered.
Yeah.
John Stones put the ball over the corner at one point and like put his hands through his hair as if to say, like, fucking hell, this is hard work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, they're so used to doing that to everyone else. And like the infighting and the De Bruyne complaining when he came off, and Guardiola having to sub him to try. And in fairness to Guardiola as well, I know he's an oddball and we say that, he was honest about it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was like facing a fucking tsunami, and I just had to do something to try and get control back of the game, because at that point we didn't have control of the game. When do you ever hear Pep Guardiola say that about his football team? And I mean, we're going to get into all this, aren't we? But the fact that we did that, and for me, it's still, Klopp is so good and we've become so good under him that no one's even making enough for me. And I've gone through the start lineup when we get to it to say, you know, where they all are in the pecking order. It's ridiculous that we dominated that game. I watched it back today, and I very rarely do that, due to watch it with like no emotion.
Yeah.
And they scored against the run of play.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Like, people keep talking about the first 10, 15 minutes where we did look a bit ropey, and I was thinking that, but I was thinking then, we look like a team that's gone. We've looked at our own team sheet and gone, don't fancy us today. And we were a little bit hesitant. But as we then grew into the game, which speaks volumes about all these lads, especially the youngsters. But we'd already had 2 or 3 really good opportunities before they scored. We were already on top. We were already dominating. And I know Klopp said we saw the best 53 minutes against Man City. I think it was longer than that. I think we dominated more of that game than 53 minutes. They were playing like everyone plays against them. Yeah. They were hitting us on, their chances came from sitting in and hitting us on the break, which is wild. Like, it's wild. We're talking about Man City.
And the ground was magnificent as well. You know, it really was. It was like, everyone was talking about sort of, we want it to be feral, we want it to be this, we want it to be that. It was all of those things.
Was it? Because I was going to ask you about this.
It was really good, mate. It was spot on. And it was like, I was nervous, and, I felt like it was one of those. I don't very often now have a pint before the game, and sometimes, not even as regularly afterwards, but beforehand this time, I just felt like I needed it. I know that's not a great place to be, but it was just, like to calm the nerves, basically.
Yeah.
Because I did have that proper, like, that belly of anticipation beforehand and all that kind of stuff. So, we and my mates felt the same way. So we met up before and we had a few pints and it was good. But the pub was chocker, and it just felt like as though everyone was in the same frame of mind. And then the ground was great. It was really loud. Like my watch was going off every 2 seconds, saying loud environment and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, calm down, Gareth.
It's like, shut up. It's meant to be like this. What was really funny, and I hadn't got on, where I am in the car, I did not hear Man City, their fans at all, ever throughout the 90. And I'm sure they were making noise, but it never filtered through to where I was. To me, the atmosphere in the car was brilliant. It was pretty incessant. It was definitely loud. It was all the things you wanted to be. We booing them and hissing them and the pantomime stuff. But I thought it looked like it got to them. Like they made loads of mistakes. They were like, passing it out of play and all things like that you wouldn't expect of them. And I was thinking, it's working. It's working, lads. Come on. And it was great. It was really good. And I think it was. I mean, it's again hard for me to say from my position, but I think. The new Annie Road and all that, I think they were contributing there. All I was judging that by was like, like LA. I could see like scarves spinning at that end of the ground, as well as down the sides and all the rest of it. And I was like, feels like the whole ground's up for this. And like, no one can say to us, yeah, well, this is what I was about to get to. I was about to say, no one can say to us, where's your famous atmosphere? And yet, apparently, although I didn't hear it myself, but I was tweeted about it, there was a lull, like it was 20 minutes of incessant, brilliant support and atmosphere. Then there was a little lull, and apparently they sang it in that lull. Where's your famous app? You've just seen it, you bellends. Yeah. It's affecting how your side's playing. Like, you're all right.
That's wild.
Do you know what I mean?
That's unbelievable. It's like, just squeeze it in now while they've gone
especially
quiet.
When, some of the shit they've had at their ground recently, like that fella, commentating when the team are getting off the coach and all that. And then they've got some kind of fella giving it beans in the ground before the match. Oh, yeah. It was quite funny. There was a clip of it the other week. I think it was before a Champions League game or something. And I put it in my mate's WhatsApp group. And one of my mates put looks like they couldn't get 50 cent there and they got 50p. But it was cringy. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I wouldn't want... I mean, like, there's been a bit of an Americanization, if you like, of what happens, before, during, and after, if you like, at Anfield. But I think we've kept the reins on. It's not too bad. Do you know what I mean? Even like, I was never into the whole Mighty Red thing, but that thing just seems to lurk in the corner sometimes. But it's never centre stage. It's never given it beans.
That thing.
What is it? We don't need shit like that, do you know what I mean? And I feel like we've sort of clung on to a fair bit of what we want Liverpool to be about. But they've disappeared somewhere else. I mean, it's just all very plastic what they do. So for them to be saying to us, where's your famous atmosphere, when we've literally just demonstrated it, lads, like, take the glasses off, you know what I mean? Like, I still got, we've already talked about how dominant Liverpool were, how well they played and all this kind of stuff, and it made me laugh to still see grown men saying, no, you weren't that great, or it wasn't a great match, or whatever. Come on, like, what? Do you know what I mean? So, got the stats there. We dominated possession, which doesn't happen very often against Manchester City. So, we're nearly 53% for Liverpool. We dominated in terms of shots, 19 attempts on their goal. There's some more stats about that as well, which I'll come to later on. Our passing accuracy was better. We won more corners. They had more yellow cards. They probably should have had more as well. And obviously the situation means that Liverpool are joint top in terms of points, 64 points, both us and Arsenal. They are top on goal difference. They've got 7 better than us. And then City are a point behind on 63. Their goal difference is 4 worse than ours. And obviously quite significantly 11 worse than Arsenal now. But we'll start with the teams, and this is obviously the point that you were getting at earlier, and it's a point I very much want to make. So I did hear some praise for Liverpool, and you'd expect us to be praised after a performance like that. And I read some praise as well. But for me, as a Liverpool fan, looking at it, listening to it, etc., there's still not enough. Like, what we're still doing is unbelievable, even in this game. So, like when we're in the pub, pint, and team comes through, we're all like, oh, fuck. Is this going to be the one, though, where it's too much? Starting Bradley, we've got fucking Kelleher in goal, who's not the first choice, and he's done well, and he did well again yesterday. But you would still obviously rather have Alisson. You've got Kwanzaa in there, who's still inexperienced in terms of his career. When he's going up against these lads who, as I've already said, they build the best in the world. You've got Szoboszlai, who can't even play a full game. You've got Salah only coming on for half an hour, etc., etc., etc. Even Elliott, like, leaning on him, he's still a young lad. Okay, plenty of appearances under his belt now, but he's still only a young lad. And again, we're going up against, De Bruyne, we're going up against, whoever you want. We all know what their side is, and they never had any problems, did they? They had a full strength squad to pick from. They've gone with the strongest side. They've come rocking into town, and they've been dominated, and it's not gone how they wanted it to go.
Yeah, that last point, it's worth saying they've got a couple of injuries before people start jumping on you on the internet.
Yeah, but not in comparison to what.
No.
Ours.
The point I was about to say is, I think they've got like the level of injuries you expect in a season. Do you know what I mean? They've got a couple of players out. Jack Grealish is the main one that springs to mind. But they were literally in a position where they could leave. This made me laugh when you see the starting lineup of a team when you're playing them, and it makes you realise how little footy you watch these days. Because if you'd have asked me who's Man City's best centre back, I'd have said Ruben Diaz.
And he's on the bench.
But clearly something has been going on since I last watched City properly, because he's on the bench. So they've left him out of the biggest game of the season. But that says a lot. Like, they're so strong that they can leave Ruben Diaz out of the game.
And who's our centre-half in this game on the bench?
But this is my point. Like, considering what we've got through recently, how is it fucking possible that we're still naming someone on the bench that I haven't heard of? How is that possible? Like, and I laughed because I told you last week I was watching it with my brother-in-law, who's an Arsenal fan. And before the game, when I saw the team sheet, Joe, you read the first 11 first. And then, because we were out with the family and all that, kids, and trying to get back for the kickoff, and I saw some tweets that just showed the ones that just showed the starting 11. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to see the bench. I need to see the bench as well. And I see like Nalo's on the bench, and I'm like, look, no offense to the kid.
No, it's no offense.
Who the fuck is he? And how have we got this far down the list now? We've already been through about 3 lads I don't know. And now they're out as well.
It's fine, and it's fine to support the club this way, because I imagine some people are saying, how come you don't know it? I get that there are people who support Liverpool who know everyone who's at the academy, and they'll watch LFC TV all day, and they'll watch every game, and maybe they even go to Kirby and watch them live and all that. And if that's the way you support Liverpool, that's fine. And if you've got the time to do that,
great.
Up the red sound, made up for you. But, you're juggling loads of priorities. I'm juggling loads of priorities, and I didn't know who Amara Nalo was either. And neither did my mates who were in the pub with either. And we all support Liverpool and have done all our lives, and we love them, and we want them to win the league and all the rest of it. But all looking at the common consensus, and no one could get a signal to look it up either. It was like, is he a keeper then?
Yeah.
He must just be a keeper, mustn't he? Is he a keeper? No, he's a centre-half. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's rocking around on the bench, but he's not the only one, is he? There,
we've still got Clark, McConnell, and Kumas on there as well. Plus, like on the other end of the spectrum, which no one ever mentions, do they, these days? But at the other end of the spectrum, Adrian's our sub-keeper.
Yeah.
Like, how old's he now?
I know, and you wouldn't want him on the pitch. Let's be honest.
Exactly. But Joe, I just went through the starting 11, and it wasn't. I don't know who it was. Someone did mention it on telly. It might have been someone on Match of the Day too. That of our back 5, including the keeper, there was only, I think it might have been Danny Murphy or Mark Chapman, because they mentioned Van Dijk and how great he was. But of our back 5, Van Dijk was the only first choice player. But it goes beyond that, and that's what I wanted to look at it like. So Kelleher is your second choice goalie at the start of the season, and as we've all been saying, I want to talk a bit more about him, but for the purpose of this, Kelleher's your second choice goalie. Bradley, I'd say at the start of the season, is your third choice right back. because at the start of the season, no one's saying play Conor Bradley instead of Trent. We're thinking if Trent's injured, Gomez can play right back, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that means Bradley's your third choice. Quansah is your fourth choice centre back. Van Dijk's your first choice, obviously. Gomez is arguably, well, at the start of the season, Gomez is your third choice left back because Robertson and Tsimikas are ahead of him. Mm-hmm. I'd take the argument that he's become our second choice because we could have played Tsimikas if we wanted to and we didn't. So, but even then, he's your second choice left back. Endo is your second choice 6 at the start of the season. And Elliott, and I've put on this list, he's your third choice for that position. He might even be lower than that. At the start of the season, if I'd have said to you, how many players do you want to play in that position if Mo Salah's not there before you get to Harvey Elliott? He might be beyond third choice. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 11 players.
Doak was the one that everyone was saying was going to get a game this season, wasn't
he? So Doak would have been ahead of him in that. And he was pre-season, wasn't he? He was playing that position ahead of Elliott when we were rotating players.
And let's bang on.
That's 6 out of 11 players.
And then we've got no Matip, no Alisson, no Thiago, no Trent, no Jota, no Jones, no Konate, and no Ryan Gravenberch. And we absolutely bladdered them second half. And I will bang on all day about the Reds being great in this game. And I'm honestly done with people trying to tell me something different. Like, there's some fella, like, I probably should have wrote him down just because, like, he's entered my head over the weekend. I did follow him anyway because he's been a journalist of some kind of incarnation at a previous point. It appears he's an Arsenal fan. And he's been tweeting some absolutely wild shit over the weekend and came to mine and many other people's attention. Basically baiting Liverpool fans, like. And I like going on about this, how like it really stings us that we'd only won one league title in 34 years, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what though? And as we've talked about it many times on here, I've had a great time supporting Liverpool, actually, thanks. I don't need you to tell me how it's been. And if things sting or hurt, how about never winning a European Cup? I imagine that stings. Or how about blowing the title last season? Bet you that stung. Anyway, we're not doing the knobheads on Twitter. We know you don't like that. Or maybe you do. Let us know. But yeah, Liverpool had 19 shots, as I mentioned earlier. That's the most in a Premier League game against Man City since February 2013. 12 of those shots were in the second half, which was the most Man City have faced after half-time in a league game since May 2021. Now, you know, I'm not a fan of some of these like narratives that get shown through stats sometimes, but they're good ones because the second half was off the chart and we should have won it. We should have won it. And like, you know, I'm still going to be waking up in the night, cold sweats, going, oh, Diaz, lad. Like, I thought the one where he was through was the one. Do you know what I mean? I thought, he's in, he's having a good game. This is flying in. And then when it didn't, I was just like, oh. And I'm still gutted about it now. I mean, that run he did later on was incredible. I don't know how he kept emerging with the ball. He had City players all around him. And he was going round in circles and pirouetting all over the show. And he kept re-emerging with the ball. And it was incredible to watch from the Kop. Because, you know, like the Kop, let's hold our hands up here. Like, it's not the best place in the ground to see the match. Obviously, you know, they turned us round, didn't they? So, you know, second half, we're shooting Annie Road end. And, yeah, it was just incredible. It was like, what's he done there? How's he keep coming out to that? He's still going. Fucking hell. Go on, lad. And it was like, I thought he had a great game, Diaz. But obviously, people are going to focus on the fact that I've already mentioned myself, that he didn't score. And it was just,
Yeah, but do you know what's interesting? Like, it's funny that, have you seen all Klopp's post-game stuff?
Some of it.
Something, I mean, a couple of people have tweeted us when you've asked for, like, you know, things to talk about today, saying he's got to stay and all that. And I disagree now. And I know what you're saying. I think, a bit of a worry, more of a worry of him going with the whole structure of the club and all that, blah, blah, blah. But something that I actually am really enjoying watching from a human perspective, right, is the weight is clearly lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, you can tell that. I thought that.
He is enjoying being Liverpool's manager again because he's allowed himself, I think, to let go of all the shite.
Yeah.
like the refereeing decisions, the getting fined for shouting at people on the touchline, the journalists are being knobheads in press conference. He's gone back to, I think he's got the spark around him that he had when he first came. Even, do you know, when he's doing like the immediate post-match stuff where you're talking to an interviewer here and there's a camera here, and every now and then he'll do like the Office thing where he looks direct at the camera and like pulls a funny face. That's what he was doing when he first came. Very light, very funny. And all Liverpool fans know this. Like, you could see the world had started weighing him down over the past couple of years. And that's what a few of us were saying last year. I'm not sure he's going to hang around for much longer. So you can see it. Everything's lifted. And that's why, one of the reasons he's enjoying it so much. And I think what's going on with the club is happening. And this mad run with these mad players is going on. Is because his energy is through the roof.
Yeah, 100%.
But we all know it's a bit like that sort of story the night when I did that 5K run, and like if you run into the end and you know the end's there, you can do that.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
But if you said to him at the end of the season, we'll just carry on like this now,
yeah, keep going. Nah, I haven't got that in me.
This has been me last fucking. It is the last dance thing.
Did you see when he picked Robbo up?
No.
It was brilliant. It was like, so obviously Robbo came on as a sub, didn't he? And just as he's like, you know, prepping himself and like, you know, Klopp comes over to have a little final word before he goes on the field. He actually picked him up, like bear hugged him and lifted him off the ground. It was just like proper like G'd him up. You know, exactly the point you're making. Yeah. It was almost like, I'm going to insert my energy into you. Have some of this, take that out onto the pitch and let's fucking smash these bastards. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think he's 100% injecting that into them all. Like, I'd love to know. I can't wait, in a way, to read all the players' books in years to come and to hear about genuinely what was he like. Because you never properly find these things out, do you? You find out what they want you to find out at this stage. Yeah. They say what they want to say in interviews, and they'll keep loads back. And like, you know, even when we used to do the pro view with Warnock, like, you know, it took a while, didn't it, to get some stuff out of him. He kept saying things like, "Oh, I'll save that for the book."
Yeah, he would literally say that. He would literally say to us, "I'm not going to give you that. Yeah, like, I'll save that for me."
And like, there must be. I'd love to know about, you know, in depth, in detail, what's he like behind the scenes, what's he like on the training bit. I think we've all got a good idea, like, but you know, just hearing more detail around it. What's he been like this season? And I think you're right. I think you know, he is letting go 100% of loads of stuff. Like, you know, he was obviously not happy about that decision, the Doku decision, but equally, he was almost jokey in how he dealt with it, wasn't he? He wasn't like, you know, 100%. He wasn't. I mean, you still have people saying he's a moaning bastard because apparently he's not allowed to point out that, you know, it should be a penalty, but the way he dealt with it is definitely different. You know, he's not angry. He's not down in the dumps. He's just like... He's
laughing about
that's it. That's what happens now. Yeah. It's shit.
Yeah. But the reason I got onto this was his reaction to talking about that Diaz run that you mentioned was, I've never heard him say, "Oh my God," so many times in a post-match like interview. Oh my God. Because the two fellas chasing him were Rodri and Kyle Walker. Yeah. And you're like, how can anyone run with the ball for that long with those two players chasing him and come out at the other end with it? And when I watched it back this morning, it did make me laugh. Like, that whole thing ended with him.
Rodri tries to pull him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he left Rodri. Like, Rodri gave up. Yeah. Like, he'd gone. Kyle Walker, not at the end of the run, he did him twice with a dummy, and then when he tried to pull the ball back, just twatted the ball in Walker's face. And there's a proper comedy moment. I mean, after the end of all that, it's like, I'll twat the ball in your face now just to take the piss out of you.
Like I'm standing on a rake at the end. Like,
that's what it's like. And I just hear like, you know, music play as Walker hits the deck and we get a corner. But that was a perfect example of the spirit of the team and what was going on. It was unreal. And look, to go back to what you were saying before, because what got you onto that was the sad thing is Diaz's second half was unbelievable. Like, just an unbelievable Liverpool performance, and what a player he is. And there is that just like tinge of what if though? Because if we'd have won, we'd be forward ahead of them, we'd be top of the league, we play next, all this stuff. But I think the superpower we've got, which I still don't think anyone's, again, and maybe I think some of the Liverpool pundits on telly aren't wanting to get carried away maybe they don't want to be made fools of. But I think people are underplaying. You've mentioned Arsenal, and we'll talk about them later, but because I think something similar happening with Arsenal. Like, I think it's mad how much people are underplaying Arsenal's title chances. But people are underplaying the effect that this Klopp thing is having on us. Like, the fact that we drew that game, and I think in previous seasons, we'd all be a bit more like, fuck, we should have taken those chances though. We're going to regret this. We're going to regret this. The way Klopp bounces out of that game, full of energy, buzzing, like his point, you wrote it down here. Like, what did he say? Something like, important that we learned that about ourselves as well, that we can do this. Yeah. Like, and one of the stats when you read out before, I think this is the point he was making, I think was lost on some people, because I heard someone, again, one of the pundits get asked, he said that's the best second half Liverpool have played against City under him. And someone referenced, like, one of the Champions League games where we blew them away inside 15 minutes. That wasn't the point Klopp was making. No. What he was saying was, yeah, but when we've done that to them in the past, they've been the better team and we've just blown them away in a way we can. Fast transitions, quick attacks, breaks, goals from distance. We beat them at their own game today. We didn't win the game, but we played Man City the way Man City play, which has been an evolution. In fact, I was thinking about this a lot. Like, this has been an evolution that's been going on for a few years now. We made a purposeful decision that we wanted to play more like this. We outpassed them. Not only did we have more possession than them and more shots, but we outpassed them. We had 584 passes to their 530. How often does that happen to Man City? Yeah. Even in games they lose, they pass the ball more than the other team. And that's what he was talking about, and Guardiola mentioned it. We were passing through the midfield and, like, breaking them down through the heart of the pitch, where they're usually the strongest team on the planet. For us to do that against them with this team, not even our first choice team,
That's the thing.
I think this, Joe, we've got this break now.
Them. We rattled them.
We've got this break now where we've got the FA Cup, haven't we? But we play next, and if we beat Brighton at home, we go top of the league again, don't we? And we wait for them to play Arsenal. I think we're going to bounce into the last 10 games of the season with this Klopp energy, like with him going to everyone. Like, and it's funny that you referenced that Robertson thing, because I think that's what it'd be interesting to ask all of his players who are here now, what was it like before and after you found out he was leaving? Because I reckon they'd all say it's gone mad. It's like something's changed. Yeah. There's like a different air around the place. It's like it's the last dance thing, but on crack.
Well, I think as well that other, there's quite obvious things happening that say other managers recognise this power that he's got and recognise that there's like, so we can go on all day about tactics and we can go on all day about statistics, and people make a living out of it, and that's all fine. But there's always another bit of football that you almost can't put your finger on. And it's not just football, it's life, isn't it? Like, how do you motivate someone? How do you get them to run through the brick wall, like we always say, like, how do you do that? And where does that magic come from? How do you get it? How do you keep it? How do you bring it every week to the table? That type of thing. And we know that Klopp's got that power of personality, that force about him. And when you see Lego head Arteta going out on the pitch and trying to do fist bumps like Klopp, when you see Gary O'Neill going out and doing it like Klopp, like, he hasn't painted it doing fist bumps, and anyone can do whatever they want, and that's sound. But there's a reason and it's happening now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I should try and engage our fans like that because he's the best at it. Maybe if I do that, that'll add a little percentage to it. Maybe if I pump up our crowd, that'll make it more likely that we win. You know what I mean? Yeah. So loads of people are saying, isn't it cringy that Arteta's doing that? And it is a bit, because it's not, it doesn't feel like it's him, does it? Do you know what I mean? That's not his character. He is not Klopp. He's nothing like Klopp. He's a bit of a bore. You wouldn't want to go for a pint with him. He's had the same haircut all his life, whatever. And it's like, so him trying to like embrace some Kloppness just tells you how great Klopp is, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? What else are we going to talk about on this? We're going to talk about, I have to say, by the way, I mean, be very open and honest about this on our social media today. We very often talk about how we're winging this a bit and all the rest of it. With the game being where it was in the weekend, and me having a pint, and then me being in work. This is probably one of the most cobbled together agendas we've ever had, but we're doing all right. We're halfway through. And there's still stuff on here to talk about, so that's good. Mentality, spirit, character, all of those things we talk about regularly on here. All of that by the bucket loads again, and more evidence statistically that is the case too. So with Liverpool coming from a goal down again, they've now recovered a league high 23 points from losing positions in the competition this term. And that's the thing as well. Like, I mean, you know, when we were all having our post-match pint and we're talking about it and we're all a bit gutted that we didn't win it, but equally we're dead proud of how they've played and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think it was lost a little bit that we went 1-0 down, you know, and like their boss on, you know, I actually thought there were stages in the first half where they actually were really impressive.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And you were like, there were stages where I was watching it going, this isn't getting to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It isn't like we're turning everything on. You know what I mean? Like the crowd are at it, they're at it, we're pressing like fuck. You know, like the unbelievable energy and all that, and they're still good. They're still good. You definitely saw that. But equally, the bigger picture is, and we were better on the day, and we should have won it. But they still could have won it. They hit the post, and I don't get, by the way, just one small gripe here. I saw in a number of reports about they hit the woodwork twice. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to hit the woodwork with your hands. So the Foden one isn't a thing, is it? Do you know what I mean?
It does my head in.
Like, why are we writing it down as though that was a chance?
Have I ever said this to you? Like, there's no such... I might write a book one day called There's No Such Thing as a Disallowed Goal.
Because it's not a goal.
It's not a goal.
Yeah.
It's not a disallowed goal. It was never a goal.
Yeah.
It's a free kick, or it's offside, or it's... The goal... Just everybody get this in your head. Do you know, from the point there was a foul, the game from there doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It wasn't disallowed. Because if you could ref it, like... I mean, fucking hell. If you could ref it properly at all, would be nice at any point. But if you could ref it, Joe, on the money for every second, nothing would happen beyond the handball, would it?
Exactly.
So, like in a computer game world, as soon as it hits his hands, you'd go, stop the game.
Yeah.
Never hits the crossbar. Forget that. So,
I know. Yeah. So that's not a thing as a pointer or a signpost to how they got on.
Yeah, and by the way, even if it was a genuine they hit the bar, our goalie punched it against them. It wasn't like they created some amazing thing. Yeah. Like, fucking hell. But look, at the same point, because I when people say, oh, we throw the same as us that we throw at other people, they're fucking boss. Like, one of the reasons, I said to my brother-in-law sitting watching it with him, these games are fucking horrible to watch when you're in them, because your anxiety levels are just through the roof. I remember, I'll never forget this, and I've referenced this so many times, but I'll never stop referencing it. I'll be stuck in an old people's home at some point, going to some woman when I've got, or some fella looking after me when I've got Alzheimer's. Has David Silva still got the ball in our box? Because I still remember that game from years ago where I'm sitting in the main stand when I used to go every week. And it seemed like David Silva had the ball in our box for about 20 minutes. And you're like, get the fucking ball off him. And they were just so good, like so good at keeping the ball away from you. Every moment they've got it, you're looking at their players thinking, I'm just looking at their side, do you know what I mean? They've got in the same team, Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, Foden and Haaland. Every one of those players, like... Rodri, people might say to me, why are you naming their defensive midfielder in this? Because you know what, mate? Sometimes, fairly often, he pops up with unbelievable screamers to win important games. Yeah. These are all lads who at any given moment can do one magical thing and score a goal. Like we saw with the fucking corner. It's against the run of play. They've got a corner. They score from nothing. Why? Genius. And people can complain about it, and you can say we should be better, we should be more switched on.
Hadn't he? It was, you know, the fella's like letting on from the bench, isn't he?
There we go.
He's obviously dreamt it up.
And yeah, and
like, you know, the delivery, like, you know, it looks simple, but it's very much not, is it? Do you know what I mean? To get that ball, like it's like an outswinger that like hugs the line.
Well, even the finish, like. I don't think enough has been made of the finish. John Stones is a centre-back.
I know.
It's it first time. I've said this for years
Callaghan nearly saves it as well.
I know, we nearly get to it. I've said this for years about Divock Origi's goal against Barcelona. Trent gets a lot of credit for that because he spots it and he plays the pass and all that. That finish is unbelievable by Origi. To hit that first time and to score, unbelievable. So easy to shank it, so easy to get it wrong, so easy to scuff it. But that's what you're up against with City. Every moment when you're playing them, you're thinking. And when we went 1-0 down, I'm sitting there going, all we've got to do now. At 1-0 down, I'd take right now 1-0 down on 60. Because the last thing you need is to concede again. Because we've been there before, you concede again and then it all falls apart. Because we lose belief, they gain belief, and then they become the unbelievable City. For us to go from conceding that goal to exerting ourselves on the game again and going where we did, off the charts.
And look, they have got a weird manager, also a world class one, but he is weird.
But it's we've said this before, right? It's the genius and madness thing. It often goes hand in hand.
But both sides with they've got pretty much the first choice out there. We've got a bit of a patched up side. They go in and they're 1-0 up. And our manager uses 15 minutes better than Guardiola does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That would be my conclusion, because who comes out looking like the better side? Liverpool.
Yeah.
And who absolutely dominates the second half? Liverpool. And that brings us on to, we are, of course, talking about referees again, which is really disappointing. And I wish we weren't, and I wish we didn't have to, and I wish it wasn't the headline, and I wish it wasn't on the back of every newspaper today. But it is, and here we are again. And it's like, some of the stuff I've heard and seen about that, it just really does me head in, to be honest. It's like, this idea that I've heard repeatedly from several pundits on the radio, on the telly, of, yes, it's a foul, and if it was anywhere else on the pitch, Klopp is right to say it would be a foul, but in the box, it's not enough to be a penalty. What does any of that mean? That's bollocks. Yeah. That is refereeing context and not rule. If it's a foul, it's a foul. And if it's a foul and it's in the box, it's a fucking penalty then. And I don't remember a world where you're allowed to be putting feet up near faces and chests and all that. As far as I'm concerned, like, high feet has always been a thing, you know what I mean? Like, and I heard on the way into the studio a really bad argument on the radio of, yeah, but he wasn't endangering the player. Because that's obviously part of the rule, the recklessness aspect. He wasn't endangering the player, though, because it only got him in the chest. Oh, right. Oh, so it's just sound to follow through into the chest. We've had a player sent off this season for alleged follow-through.
Well, I sent you a clip before the game, didn't I? And so Jones got sent off for getting the ball and then following through onto the ankle.
So there's people arguing that Doku's got the ball.
And he followed through onto his chest. And you're like, okay, so sorry, what are we saying here? And this is all I want, right? This is all I want from now on. Me and you were talking about a little bit before we started recording. This is all I want from now on. I'm not gonna. I don't want to spend my life. Someone's emailed us, haven't they? Like, with this, it's ruining thing. For me, that's not ruining it. What's ruining it is we're all too obsessed with it. But what I would like to happen next is, let's just clarify it all. You said before we started recording, we live in a world now where we can just sit down, right? Let's this summer, everyone get together and let's do a 3-week course, right? We'll all do it together. Howard Webb can run it with Michael Owen, and we can have live interaction.
We can use a show for it.
Exactly. That's
It'd be useful instead of this powder puff PR.
But we can all ask questions, can't we? We can do lives and all that, and they can show us clips, and we can say, "Is that a pen?" And they can say yes or no, and then next year we'll know.
Yeah.
Because if you're telling me that Curtis Jones should get sent off for getting the ball and then rolling over the ball and getting someone's ankle, but you shouldn't give away a pen if you get the ball and roll past it into someone's chest with your studs up, I'm struggling with that.
Me too.
But if that's the rule from now on, at least we all know.
Yeah.
And the bit I said to you before we started, which I'll start with the caveat of, I really like Jamie Carragher, and I think he usually talks a lot of sense. The thing he said on Sky blows my mind, that there isn't, if you haven't seen this, he said there is an unwritten rule that it needs to be more in the box. Well, look, everybody, we're having enough problems with the fucking written rules that we've written down. So can we try, please, not to introduce unwritten rules? Here's an idea. Let's just write down all the rules, agree what they mean, and then be done with it. And that's it. And then let's go back to, we said this the week, let's go back to, we all accept that sometimes you get them and sometimes you don't. The other thing that, I don't know whether you saw this, I saw someone tweet Jamie Carragher in it and he retweeted it. The guy was clearly a ref and he was saying like, yeah, this is, Carragher's right. Because if I'm given a decision in a team's defensive third or the middle of the pitch, I don't need to be more than like on the balance of probabilities, like 51% sure it was right, because the level of jeopardy isn't so high. If it's in the final third of the pitch, I need to be 75% right. But if it's in the box, I need to be 100% sure that I'm right. Now I can buy into that argument, okay? Because otherwise, the game's too slow. If you're trying to make sure every single decision at every part of the pitch is 100% right. But if that's the case, okay, let's follow that argument through. Because it was said like to prove that the unwritten rule thing is right. If that's right, a foul in the box in the last minute of stoppage time in a potentially title deciding game, you need to be 100% sure you're right. That's what you're telling me, ref, yeah? Okay, go and look at the monitor then.
Exactly.
Because we've got a fucking monitor at the side of the pitch.
And also, if you look at the referee and where he is, you can't fucking see it.
Yeah.
There's a player in the way, you can't see through the player. So therefore, we've got fellas sitting with 1,000,001 angles, able to look at it, able to slow it down, able to do whatever they want. I get the arguments about slowing it down. Things sometimes makes it look worse. I think that's probably what happened with Curtis Jones. But he doesn't even, as you say, doesn't even go and look at it. And we live in a world where, you know, the title might get decided by not even points. It might get decided by goals.
Yeah.
We've seen like Liverpool lose out twice by a point. So these things fucking matter. And you've got the technology. You've got people employed in a room who are there to be consulted. You can look yourself on a screen, as you're saying. And like, to just go, oh no, not clear and obvious sound, let's just crack on. And then to have people on the radio, and okay, that's not the referee and it's only their opinion, but it's still annoying to hear people on the radio saying, maybe he didn't want it to be about him, maybe he didn't want to make... Well, if he didn't want it to be about him, which is a shit argument, shouldn't be a referee then.
Yeah.
Because in a big moment, in a potential title deciding game, you've got to go and look at it and you've got to get it right and you've got the people there to help you do it.
It's a weird argument, that, isn't it?
It's a shit argument.
What do you mean about him? His job is to make decisions that affect the game, the football match. Argument. So it's about him either way, isn't it? Because he either gives the pen or he doesn't give the pen.
But also, if you've got like this, even we talked about it before, the clear and obvious things, fucking bollocks. No one knows what it means, and it's another thing where it's like it's just this big area of grey, and it's fucking bollocks. Fuck it off, and instead just say what we're going to do is get it right, or get as close to right as possible. So in that moment, he's gone, I can't really fucking see that, and so you're mic'd up, lad. Just go to the fellas in the studio. I didn't really see that, lads. Have you got a clear view of what happened? Do you think it's a penalty? And they'll tell you, and then go from there.
But this is the bit,
that just to me is like the most obvious common sense thing that you could do. What is wrong with doing that?
I'm 100% with that. And to add to it, I saw someone else say, he can't go to the monitor unless VAR tells him to go to the monitor to look at it. Well, that's fucking backwards as well, isn't it? Because people go on about this thing we talked about this months ago, and we were like, the whole idea of re-refereeing the game. No one thinks you're re-refereeing the game when the linesman tells you what to do they? When the linesman helps you, he's there to help you.
The assistant referee.
And so we've got an assistant referee on the pitch, and we've got a video assistant referee somewhere else. Why isn't this just the whole idea? The concept of you're all the refereeing team and the aim is to get the right decision. Not about clear and obvious, not about overturning the guy on the pitch, not about anything. You're a refereeing team.
Your mate.
Yeah. You're a refereeing team and your job is to get the right decision in the written rules. Let's all agree now, please. We just write down the rules and we stick to the ones that are written down and we don't have any imaginary unwritten ones. And then if the ref didn't see something properly, he can go to the fucking screen himself.
And the same pundits, by the way, the same pundits are going, like in the next part of their conversations that I've heard, are going, if he had given it, VAR wouldn't have overturned it because it wasn't clearly and obviously wrong if he'd given the pen. And you're like, well, my head's gone here. Like, hang on, what? And look, you know, we every week we're doing the joke, aren't we? You know, Tottenham, you let it go and all that. No, you let it go. Because that is still laughable. And I'm going to say it forever. But, we've got Odegaard against Arsenal. Now we've got this against City. We keep saying, and I will keep banging the drum, whatever happens this season, however it unfolds, I am proud of them. But if it unfolds that we only lose out by, on the title by a point or, a fine margin, then how the fuck are you meant to mentally process the fact that we were fucked over at Tottenham in something that we've never seen before or since? And then, I can sort of accept things like yesterday a bit more. If you're saying that those type of ones, they happen because look, that happened to them and that happened to them. Okay, sound. Tottenham never happened to fucking everyone, so you can fuck off with that one. But when you're adding yesterday to Tottenham, Odegaard to Tottenham, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do think we've had a bad run here. Do you know what I mean? And a drop ball.
I was just about to say, but that's where you're wrong, because the drop ball
counts as everything, apparently.
Makes up for it all.
You
win some, you lose some. And the one we won was a drop ball for our keeper in our box. And the ones we lost were a goal and 2 pens. This is my favourite bit about the win some, you lose something. You're like, let's do it like that then. Just what I've just said. So is that what you're saying evens out? We got in our favour, which, look, even if I just take this and we don't get into the debate we had last week about the whole drop ball thing, let's just accept the one we got in our favour was a drop ball in our box to our keeper. And you want us to say that evens out a goal that was disallowed and 2 pens against our 2 main title rivals.
And you tried to stop us winning the frigging League Cup as well by ruling out a goal.
We've even forgotten about that, haven't we? Because we won. But this is an important point, right? And I do want to make this point. We only complain more about these things when we don't want to win the game ourselves. And the reality is, if Luis Diaz had taken his chances, we wouldn't be complaining about this as much.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
And I think they've said, haven't they, before the season started, one of the, and I wonder if Klopp was thinking this is going to be a last dance season, so let's go into it this. The attitude was an attitude of no excuses this year, wasn't it? No excuses. So I think Klopp will be saying to them, Joe, for the last 10 games of the season, show them all the fucking injustices we've had this year, because there have been loads. And by the way, we have had stuff our way, like everyone. But show them it and go, do you know what, for the last 10 games of the season, lads, let's just make sure the refs can't fuck us up, Let's just make sure with 5 minutes of the game left, we're 3-0 up. Yeah. So, Joe, if they give a fucking pen against us or they don't fucking give us a pen we should have, we can just laugh about it and go and fucking win the Premier League instead.
The irony about that point, by the way, is my fucking word of City done some cry arsing in the build-up to that game. We're going to do, we've only got about 12 or so minutes left on the free show. We're going to do, as usual, a subscriber show to follow up, and we may well roll over some of this chat into that chat, the usual story. But the amount that they did was mad. I mean, I think we'll talk about the Trent stuff on the other show. I think, the interview we did 6 weeks ago, which apparently now is worthy of comment by absolutely everyone. We'll come on. We'll do that later. But they were briefing 2 weeks ahead of this game. So they had Mike Keegan, I think his name is, in the Mail, going on about police plans for basically protecting their bus. And it was like, how long ago was that fucking bus thing? And you're still banging on about that. So there was that. Then there was another briefing to another Mail journalist about they're not going to stay over in a hotel the night before the game because of potential tomfoolery, I quote, from Liverpool fans. You're in Manchester, that's 30 miles down the road. You don't need to.
We know where it is.
Yeah, you don't need to stay in an hotel in Liverpool.
I thought you meant we can find their hotel if they stay there.
Yeah, we could go and do some tomfoolery there. Yeah. But it's just more like the briefing. It was like it's part of their game, part of their horrible way they run their club. The night before, the day of the game, another one from Pep about we never get anything off the refs. And then even Simon Bullock, a Manchester City fan who worked for the Daily Mail, not only did he do the quotes from Pep Guardiola, he listed all these incidents where they hadn't got the decision. And it's like, where's the ones where we didn't get it? What happened to fair, balanced and accurate? Are we just doing client journalism now for Man City, are we, in a national newspaper? So all of that cry-arsing. And then I put it out there, like I threw it up on my Twitter, and I had people saying, this will work though, you know. You watch, there'll be a big decision that goes against us. What happened? A big decision went against it. Hey, you know who else did that? Who else did that before playing Liverpool?
Arteta.
Pochettino.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. What happened in that game? So,
well, someone did. I'm awful for not writing down people's names to reference. So sorry, whoever said this. Someone did tweet saying, "Do you think it was a mistake announcing Klopp was leaving? Because this is what one of the consequences is. This you're getting opposition managers coming out and saying." I hope the referees aren't going to be giving Klopp decisions because it's his last hurrah and all this, and you're putting the pressure on that way. And I think my view of all of that is the same, which is, and it's funny, Klopp sort of said it about the blocking thing now. He was like, well, if that's a thing now, maybe we just need to be doing more of it. So if we're allowed to block players all the time, then we'll just block players.
There's a player blocked on their goal, by the way. Ache's doing a bit of blocking.
Yeah. Well, I saw it, and I don't know whether he was fishing for it, but I saw Joey Barton tweet that because people were going like, well, why is this any different to the one? You're like, he's not offside, mate. It's got nothing to do with offside. It's a corner. Yeah. It's fine. You're allowed to touch people in footy. It's a contact sport. But my thing is, yes, sound. It goes back to that point. Yeah, let them do all that. But do you know what? We should be doing it as well then. Because it goes back to something we said last week when John McGinn saying, well, that's not very nice. You know, it's a fucking game. You're meant to be doing everything you can to try and win the game. If they're going to be doing that, we should do it too. I remember all those years of fucking Ferguson doing it as United manager, fucking controlling everything and getting into things and all that. And I was like, well, fucking we should be doing it then as well. They shouldn't be in a ref seat if we're not in the ref seat. They shouldn't be speaking to the Premier League if we're not speaking to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we can't stop what they do, fucking go and do it. And I know, like, in my general life, that is not my attitude. Do you know what I mean? It's not sink to the bottom. It's like rise above everything else and that your life will be better and all that. This is football. It's a fucking game. We're playing a game and the idea is to win the game. So you find an advantage and all the stuff we laughed about last week, didn't we, about, and I hope they're all true, that the away dressing room only has one phone charge and all that. I do all that fucking shit. I turn the heat off. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Fuck them. So if let them all do what they want. Let's have our last 10 games of the season going, just because this is my thing. If one of the three teams can win 10 games, they win the league. And and I know that like mathematically isn't true, because if we win all 10
and so
do Arsenal, then Arsenal beat us.
Yeah.
But I don't think
and if City win all 10 and we do, we win.
Yeah. But I don't think all three teams will win all 10.
Well, they can't, can they?
No, exactly. Well, those two can't.
Yeah.
But I think if we win all 10, we will win the league. Because I don't think they will.
Well, I think City will beat Arsenal.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, this is a big thing. Where are we for time? So
we're about 6 minutes out. Well, I was going to do, we still got the other show as well. So I was just going to do, I was going to actually read out that email we got. Just to
finish on that.
A little bit more on the refereeing. Because I think, I think we've made the point there already. But, what I was talking to Kobe about before we started was, we live in a digital age. Like, the PGMOL are more than capable of putting videos, like clipping together a load of videos and saying, here you go, not just for refs, for managers, for players, for supporters, for everyone, and saying, there you go, that's a pen, there you go, that's handball, there you go, and making there a wide understanding of what we can expect when we go to footy, and potentially put some of this shite that we're talking about every week to bed. But anyway, Mark emailed us on the subject of referees and said, hi lads, I love the show. I have a question and I thought it might be a good discussion point. What do you do when you've fallen out of love with football, and does it ever truly come back? The reason is because of the refereeing. It's not a sport anymore decided by players, managers and tactics. Instead, it's decided by referees choosing whatever they want, whenever they want. They can decide that a goal in the cup final should not be given because one player potentially maybe might get to an area with no evidence to support that logic. but that's a perfect reason to disallow a goal. They can decide that a player getting kicked in the chest is not a penalty. It's insane that it continues the way it is. Nothing makes sense. I find it unacceptable and a bit of a pointless sport right now. What's the point of anything when there are no rules? Does anyone know what a handball is, what a yellow card is, what a red card is, what a penalty is, what interfering with play is, what a goal is? It's not a sport anymore when no one understands what these basic rules in sport are anymore. Love the show, but my love for football is dead. All the best, says Mark. I mean, on the love of football, I would say mine's come back after some dark days. So maybe it will come back for you, Mark. We've had a couple of people as well there suggesting we campaign for things. I can only remember one of them now, though, which is typical of my memory. One of my mates said, we should use our platform to start a campaign to have VAR scrapped. Because he's like, it's shit. It's spoiling the game. We're talking about it every weekend. It's, you know, I agreed with loads of the sentiment, but I was like, but there's an industry around it now, isn't there? Like, the TV companies love it. You know, the TV companies, I think, defend it a lot, which I find a bit like, why are you defending it? Because it makes for a good show for you. It makes a good discussion point for you. It's good if you sat home on the couch or whatever, and like you can see and hear and all the rest of it. If you're in the ground and you're getting fuck all though, it's shit. You just stood there in the cold going, what's happened?
What's happened, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we should start a campaign. I don't know whether it would get any traction. I think there are plenty of people out there that do hate it. And I keep saying, don't I, every week, go to a game lower down the leagues and watch a game of footy again with no VAR. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, but I've said to you before, and I agree with that. But I the problem with scrapping VAR now is you're not going to scrap TV companies show multiple replays of incidents that the ref gave a decision on.
That's how we got there, wasn't it?
That's the reason we got there, was because everyone was like, well, we can see these mistakes.
Yeah.
We should be able... And I've seen Klopp say the same thing. Like a few weeks ago, he got asked if we should scrap it, and he sort of reacted with like disbelief, like, scrap it. No, just do it right. And that's the big thing for me, is like, the first bit for me is all the stuff Mark put in his email. I think we do need to almost go back to basics now and go, how have we got to a point where hardly anyone knows the rules? Okay. We've literally got football managers of Premier League teams saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rule is now. How the fuck have we got there? And like, I know I've referenced it a few times on this show, but now we're talking about unwritten rules. Like, come on.
I know.
Come on, everyone.
No!
Let's just stop, reset.
A simple game complicated by idiots, as someone famously once said. Right, well, I'm gonna draw the line there. I'm gonna say this is the end of the free show. In the subscription show this week, we are going to talk about what everyone's fancy is now for the title. We're going to look at the remaining games for Arsenal, for Liverpool, for Manchester City, and we're going to talk about the Trent manufactured Fury. And we might talk about some other bits if we have any time left. We'll see what happens with that. So if you fancy that, go over to Patreon, sign up. You can sign up for nothing. You can have a go. You get access to not only this week's subscriber show, but also all the subscriber shows we've ever done. And they are on a variety of subjects, not just Liverpool, not just football, life, any old madness. It's been good to see so many people dipping the toe and having a go and staying with us and going from free to paid for. Thank you if you're one of those. The numbers do continue to gradually creep up, which is great for us and great for our mental health and great potentially for our futures, because we'd love to do this as the day job, as we keep saying. We're very far away from that right now, if we're all being honest. Another way you can support us now as well is you can buy us a virtual coffee. So buy us a coffee, is that what it's called? Buy me a coffee. We'll link to that in and around the YouTube. Look out for it. Quite a few people jumped on it in the first week, which is really good. Thanks to you if you were one of those. You can buy us one coffee, two coffee, or as many coffees as you want. And loads of people took the opportunity to do that last week. Thanks very much. It's just a different way you can basically throw in, help us with the costs for the studio, help us with all the, the admin costs of running a little company, which is going on behind the scenes as well, of course. So thanks to everyone who did that up to now. And if you want to do that, you can do that if Patreon's not for you. And if you just want to watch the free stuff, you know what? That's fine as well. We're going to keep it all going as long as we can. So yeah, get over to Patreon, watch the subscriber show. Hopefully you've enjoyed the free show. whack your comments in, like, subscribe, engage with us on social media, all those other things that help us. Come up to me in the pub and say you really like it. Loads of people did that over the weekend. That was much appreciated as well. And yeah, we'll keep the good ship TLC sailing, and we'll see you back next week for another free show. Up the Reds.